She told me to sign a prenup giving her rights to my family's vineyard or there'd be no wedding, so I chose my legacy over her demands and walked away forever. I am 34, and for the longest time, I thought I knew exactly where my life was headed. Rachel and I had been together for many years. We met back in college, grew up together through all the highs and lows, and somehow always managed to find our way back to each other no matter what life threw at us. People used to say we were the couple that made it, the example others looked up to. My parents loved her, my brothers and sisters respected her, and even my grandmother, who was not known for giving compliments, once said Rachel truly felt like she belonged to our family. That meant the world to me. I could picture a whole future with her. Holidays together around the table, children running through the family vineyard, and us growing old side by side. That is why her words that night cut me so deep. We were sitting in the kitchen on a regular Tuesday evening when Rachel suddenly said, "I want a prenup before we get married." At first, I did not react too strongly, because prenups happen sometimes. But the more she explained, the more my chest tightened. She wasn't asking for a normal prenup to protect her own things. She wanted something very specific, a contract that gave her rights connected to my family's vineyard. That vineyard has been in my family for 3 generations. My parents poured their entire lives into it. My grandmother held it together after my grandfather died, refusing to sell it even during hard times. Every memory of my childhood has some connection to that land. To me, it was not just business. It was family, history, and sacrifice. Rachel wanted it written down that if our marriage ever failed, she would have a financial stake in the vineyard. I asked her, "Why the vineyard? Why not just a simple prenup for personal assets?" She leaned back in her chair and replied, "Because I need security, Matt. Too many women walk away from marriages with nothing. I'm not going to be that woman. If I dedicate my life to you, I want to be sure I'll be taken care of." Her words did not sound like they were about us building something together. They sounded like she wanted a claim to something she hadn't helped create. I tried to explain that the vineyard wasn't just business. It was my whole family's legacy. But she didn't budge. Instead, she looked at me with cold eyes I had never seen before and said flatly, "If this family business means more to you than our marriage, then maybe we're not ready for marriage at all." That line stayed with me all night. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, wondering if the woman I wanted to spend my life with truly loved me, or if she loved what came with me. That thought terrified me. Rachel grew up with her father out of the picture and her mother working hard just to survive, so she had always been careful about money. I understood that part. But this wasn't about money alone. This was about family. The next morning, I tried to explain it again, but Rachel didn't see it that way. She told me it was about protecting herself. Yet, the papers from her lawyer made it clear, it wasn't just about her. It was about having a legal claim to something that was never hers. A few days later, I went to my parents' house to clear my head. I finally told them about Rachel's request. The room fell silent. My mom's eyes filled with tears, my dad's jaw tightened, and my grandmother, who had been quietly listening, finally spoke. She said, "That vineyard has survived wars, droughts, and struggles. If she wants it in writing before she's even married, she doesn't love you. She loves the security." Her words hit me harder than Rachel's ever could. I drove home that night feeling torn in two, between the woman I thought I would marry and the family who built the life I had today. After that conversation with my parents, everything between Rachel and me changed. We still lived together, but the air in the apartment was heavy. Our conversations became short and cold. We talked only about groceries, bills, or dinner, but every time the prenup came up, it ended in a fight. I had never seen her so stubborn. It was as if she had built a wall around herself, and no matter how much I tried to reach her, she refused to take it down. One evening, after another argument that went nowhere, I finally asked her directly, "Rachel, be honest with me. Is this about protecting yourself or about my family's money?" She stayed silent too long, and her silence said more than any words could. Finally, she snapped back, "Don't twist this. I love you, but love doesn't pay bills. Love doesn't guarantee security. If you can't give me this, Maybe you're not the man I thought you were." Her words broke something inside me. That night, I drove to the vineyard and sat in my car, staring at the rows of vines lit by the moon. For the first time in my life, I truly wondered if Rachel loved me or for what I had. A week later, she came with me to Sunday dinner at my parents' house. The moment we sat at the table, I knew it would not end well. My dad looked straight at her and asked, "Rachel, why do you think you deserve a legal claim to this family's work before you're even married into it?" Rachel didn't flinch. She said, "Because I'm not going to be another woman who gets left with nothing. If I dedicate my time and my future to Matt, then I should have something to show for it. That's fair." My grandmother put down her fork and replied, "Fair is earning it. Fair is building it. You don't get to demand a contract before you've even lifted a finger." The table exploded into arguments, tears, and raised voices. I just sat there in the middle, feeling like I was being torn in two. Later that night, Rachel pulled me aside and said sharply, "If you don't stand up for me against your family, then maybe we shouldn't be together." That was the moment I knew this would not work. The next day, I took Rachel to the vineyard, hoping she would see it differently. I told her, "This place doesn't belong only to me. It belongs to my parents, my grandmother, and future generations. If you can't marry me without a contract on this land, then maybe we've been chasing different futures." Tears filled her eyes, but she didn't soften. She whispered, "So that's it? You're choosing them over me?" I shook my head. "No, Rachel. I'm choosing honesty. You wanted security, but all I wanted was us. If that isn't enough, then maybe we were never enough." She turned away, walked to her car, and left without another word. That was the last time we stood together at the vineyard. Breaking off the engagement was the hardest thing I've ever done. The apartment felt empty, my routines felt strange, and I kept reaching for my phone to message her before remembering she wasn't in my life anymore. Friends checked in on me, my siblings tried to distract me, and my parents gave me space but always supported me. Slowly, the heaviness began to lift. Walking through the vineyard, I could smell the earth and grapes, and I realized protecting this legacy was not betrayal. It was responsibility. Weeks passed, and one day Rachel's lawyer emailed me, asking to revisit the terms. I didn't reply, because at that point it wasn't about contracts anymore. It was about trust, and once trust is gone, no piece of paper can bring it back. The wedding date came and went quietly. Instead of standing at an altar, I walked through the vineyard with my hands in my pockets, listening to the wind move through the leaves. It wasn't the future I had planned, but in some strange way, it felt right. I still think about Rachel sometimes. I don't doubt she loved me in her own way, but when security and money became the foundation of her demands, it showed a gap between us that love alone could not fill. That's when I learned the hardest lesson of all. Love without trust becomes nothing more than a negotiation. Now, when I look out at the vineyard, I see more than land. I see my parents' sacrifices, my grandmother's strength, and the future I am meant to protect. Rachel walked away, and maybe in another life, things could have been different. But in this life, I will always remember the night she demanded a prenup on my family's vineyard, because that was the night I realized that love built on conditions is not real love at all. I appreciate you listening until the end. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more stories.